Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joe Menza here, and I happened to find this video. Um, this is one I did when I was outside. It's not so nice outside now, but I kind of forgot about this video. I didn't really think it was that unique, but don't have a lot in the pipeline, so I thought I'd do a quick narration of this one for you. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. So what I've done here is I've coated the top half of the paper with water, and now I've put some yellow ochre raw sienna, just randomly placed. No real rhyme or reason to it, just a quick addition there. Now I'm going with Payne's Gray, ultramarine blue, and some alizarin crimson. Just kind of a purple cloudy effect here, going a little bit darker, and I'm just going to apply that on the bottom a little bit. Now remember, the bottom section of the page is dry, so if you want to do some dry brushing and come up with some unique effects with that, excuse me, it's a good way to do that. Otherwise you have to wait till the paper dries if you wet it all the way down, like a lot of times I usually do. Now I'm taking just the wet brush and I'm just creating some effects in the sky. Now I'm coming back with yellow ochre and a little cad yellow hue, and I'm dry brushing, and you can see if you drag the hake across, you can see how it applies differently than if you have water already on there. It'll just draw that paint right off the brush. Nice contrast between the yellow ochre and the sky. You can use, again, raw sienna. And I'm taking my brush and I just kind of shook off a little water onto it just to see what happens, just to create some variance in there. You can take a spray bottle, flick some water on, just kind of see what happens with it. Just to kind of break things up a little bit. So the idea here is I'm trying to leave some white on the bottom, and the easiest way to do that is by not putting any water on. Just leave it dry, drag your brush across, and don't put as much pressure on in the areas you want to leave white. Taking a damp brush here while the sky is still a little wet, just creating some more clouds. We've got an interesting looking sky there. When I make these videos, I like to try to do different things. Just don't want them to be the same all the time. But I thought this one had a nice cloud, nice effect. So I'm taking some clean water and I'm just a little yellow, trying to create a little variance in the foreground. If it's all the same color, you come back and you can take and wash off some, come back with some. It really creates some interesting variables in the foreground, as you can see now as it dries. It creates a randomness, I think is the word I'm looking for. And I'm coming back in with some green. Those are the colors you find: greens, yellows, and browns in grass and foregrounds. I'm taking a look, looking back at. It's a good idea to go to a few feet away from your painting and look at it, and then decide, what do I want to add to this? Do I want to add a couple little mountains, a couple little hills? You know, if you're making it up as you go along, sometimes you get stuck, and it's like, you know, when you're doing landscapes, it's either going to be hills, mountains, trees, you know, something along those lines. So I think we'll put a couple of hills in. Do sort of some yellow and some ultramarine and some Payne's gray. Kind of play off those colors that are on the bottom. Just a little stronger for the mountain. Because I'm going to scrape off. I'm going to scrape in some details. And then I'm coming in on this side with some burnt umber just added right to the brush. This way we have the light in the background kind of coming through the two mountains. Take my loyalty card. Just scrape along that edge. And you can create peaks where there wasn't any. You can scrape in. Then I come back with this little darker tones to just kind of cover up if I overdid the scraping too much. And just taking the brush and I'm just breaking up so it's not just a fine line where the mountain hits the ground. Some random foliage there along the base. Just a transition. Leaving that white or washed out area kind of creates a little counter change between the mountain and the foliage there. Sort of that light dark effect. Again, some stronger cadmium yellow hue. And this is 90-pound Fabriano Studio, 11 by 14. Now with some darker Payne's gray, I'm coming in, creating some darker foliage. And just making this up as I go, and I'm just putting a little land mass in here to create sort of an S curve through the mountain pass. So we have the light coming down and hitting in the middle there. So your eye is drawn in almost to that path, and it circles around and takes you in back to the mountains and then ultimately up to the sky. And again, if your eyes are caught by the sky, you can go by the sky and you come down forward down the path until you hit the bottom of the picture. But most people look down and they lead in. So the serpentine snake is like one of the most popular patterns for leading people into. It's a very popular pattern for leading people into a painting. Just trying to create some treetops in here. Could use a fan brush for that too. And I want that darker as it's darker than the tree line by the distant mountain. I'm using the small medium hake. I'm not sure which one it is, but they're very, very close. The small and medium, there's almost no difference. Just defining that line of bushes there, darken area, almost like a shadow, sort of anchoring it to the ground. Otherwise it looks like it's just floating in midair. Now you almost feel like you can start on that little path and walk your way winding through the mountains. And I'm just scratching in for some rocks here in the foreground just to create some interest at the corner. You can scrape anywhere, take a sponge, take something with texture, and create all sorts of textures. Give it a little spray with a spray bottle. A lot of ways you can go about doing it. Now I was looking at my stats for views, and I was surprised to see it had a stat on there about like 60% of viewers were not subscribers. And over the course of all my videos is, by the way, I'm flicking this with a toothbrush now just to create some textures in the trees. Clean water on a toothbrush. Yeah, I have 60,000 views over that course of time. That would be 60,000 subscribers if every one of those were a unique view. So if you haven't subscribed, I'd like to encourage you to do so. Click the little subscribe button and comment, like, or don't like if you don't like it. Not everybody's going to like everything. Okay. So I'm just going to pop in a couple of birds. I'm actually using my brush, which is always dangerous. But I'm using my brush, which I usually use my pen, but I didn't have it outside this day. So a couple nice birds flying. I think it's a nice sky. I think it plays well with the ground, and I'm just using that same brush to flick some sticks in. So a simple scene. I hope you enjoyed this. We're closing on near the end, or we're going to zoom in and take a close look at the picture. I'm glad I found this video because it would have probably ended up being deleted. So it was nice to not have it go to waste. I'm sure you'd want to see it. I'd want to see if one of the artists I like out there, don't throw your video away. Let me see it. I don't care. Okay, here it is with the matte. And I think it plays. I think it's got some nice lighting in it. And some nice textures where I flicked the toothbrush. So thanks for watching, everybody. Again, don't forget to subscribe and make yourself a great day.